Hello, I'm Dr. Sophia Brennan, and welcome to this brief presentation of CPMS 2.0. Please note that this system is still under development, and some of the items shown may be subject to minor changes in upcoming releases. With that said, let's get started. To log into the system, you simply need to click on Login. You will need to use an EU login to access the application. If you do not already have an EU login, there is a link on the main page which will take you directly to the registration. The procedure of requesting access to the system is something I go over in detail in another video. Once you're logged in, you're presented with the system's main dashboard. Here you see information about upcoming meetings and ongoing discussions. On your left, you have the main menu, which contains the main features of the system. Patient records shows not just those patients that you have enrolled, but also of those whose records you have been invited to participate in. It is important to note that you, of course, cannot see any personally identifying data on any patient, apart from those you are the point of care specialist for. The Add New Patient item pretty much speaks for itself. This is where you can enroll new patients into the system. I will enroll one in a moment to demonstrate. Meetings is where you see information on any upcoming meetings you are going to participate in, and also where you can schedule new meetings yourself. The Supporting Documents is a section dedicated to various forms of documentation, such as consent templates, security documents, manuals, and more. At the top right, you have another couple of menu items. The first, which is represented by your name, is where you can change account-specific settings. In the Personal Information section, you can change some of the information you selected when you first requested access to the system. Under the Notifications, you can select for which items you wish to receive notifications and how. The last section refers to Assistants. This is where you can add another user as your assistant, as well as see those clinicians you may be assisting. Adding someone as an assistant has certain implications for that person in regards to accessing patient records. This is a topic I go over in detail in a dedicated video, as it is not relevant to all users of the system. The next menu item, represented by a bell, is where you see your notifications. This is where you would see notifications related to meetings, discussions, patients, and account updates. The last item, represented by speech bubbles, is the chat feature. I will demonstrate this later in this presentation, but essentially it is a chat feature, allowing you to send direct messages to other users of the system. I will now enroll a new patient. It is a relatively easy procedure. You need to enter the date of consent, only the one marked with a red star as mandatory. The model consent forms can be found in the supporting documents. Afterwards, you need to enter the patient's name, sex, date of birth, and nationality. When you click Next, you will be asked to provide the patient with a nickname. If you are happy with the nickname provided by the system, you can simply leave it as is. If, however, you wish to create your own nickname, you need to click Validate after writing it. This is so that the system checks that this nickname is not used for another patient. The point of care specialist, who is the doctor treating the patient, and the record lead, who is the doctor responsible for the patient within CPMS, is by default set to you. If, for the patient you are enrolling, this is not the case, you have the option to change it. Similarly, the healthcare provider is by default set to your own hospital, but you can change it if applicable. Finally, there are the thematic areas. Here, you select the primary and secondary thematic areas that the patient's condition is related to. When clicking Next, you will see the third step, which is a summary of all the information you have entered. Assuming everything here is accurate, you can click Add Patient, and the patient is enrolled into the system. Now that the patient has been enrolled, you can invite participants to consult on your patient, as well as upload files to the record for your participants to see. You can do these things in any order you decide on. If you click on the participant's header, you will be able to select the users you would like to consult on your patient. you can search based on ERN, name of the expert, thematic area, hospital, or profession. You can combine the filters, so for example, for my case, I need a surgeon within pediatrics. Although I'm registered with ERN PADCAN, I'm not limited to experts from this network. I can pick from any of the 24 ERN networks. Once you have selected the experts you want, click on Add Participant. You can of course always come back and add more participants later if needed. Clicking on the Files header will allow you to upload various kinds of files to your patient's record. The system accepts most common image files, documents, and videos. You can also upload advanced imagery, like DICOM studies. The latter has its own dedicated viewer, as we shall see in a moment. You need to select the file category, the date, and a description. Last thing before uploading, you are required to select the disclaimer, which is to confirm that you have removed all identifiable personal data from the files being uploaded. The files are now visible on the patient record. From here, you can directly view most file types, and if they cannot be viewed directly in CPMS, you have the option to download them. As mentioned, medical studies have their own viewer, saving you from having to download the files in order to view them. So now you have selected your participants and you have uploaded your files. It is now time to open a discussion. Click on Open Discussion in the upper right. All that is needed is a description, and you need to select whether or not the discussion is urgent. Selecting Urgent allows you to set a deadline. I will set my discussion as urgent, as I would like to operate on my patient before the end of the week, and therefore need my participants' advice rather quickly. Once the discussion is open, you will be able to write messages back and forth in the discussion window. However, an actual meeting may be the more efficient way to progress the discussion. Video meetings can be conducted directly in CPMS, and you can schedule them via the Meetings menu on the left. In order to set up a new meeting, you click on Schedule Meeting. Now, all you have to do is to enter the title of the meeting, the time and date of when it is going to take place, and add an agenda. You can click Participants to select who you would like to attend the meeting. Here, you are not restricted to selecting the participants you previously selected to participate in the patient record. You can choose between all the users of CPMS across all ERN networks. Finally, you can also select from your patient list which patient is going to be discussed at the meeting. It is, however, not mandatory to select a patient. When done, click Save and the meeting is scheduled. When it is time to join the meeting, you can do so directly from the Upcoming Meetings header. If you have ever participated in a Zoom or Teams meeting, you will feel right at home within the meeting component of CPMS, which features live video and audio, as well as the ability to share your screen with the other participants. So now I have gathered enough information to close my discussion and proceed with my operation. You can close a discussion by going back into the patient record and selecting Close the Discussion. You are required to put a conclusion. Whatever you put here will appear on the history header on the patient's record, and it can also be downloaded as a document, which shows the conclusion as well as the names of the experts who contributed to it. The final thing I wanted to show in this brief presentation is the chat feature. As mentioned, this allows you to send direct messages to other users of the system. These messages are not necessarily linked to a specific patient or discussion, but just a way to directly send a message to another user of the system. And it is particularly useful when using the mobile version of CPMS, which I will demonstrate in another video. And with that, I conclude my brief demonstration of CPMS 2.0. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions related to the system, do not hesitate to contact our support team.